I think it just shows the prestige that Nike has because
Absolutely.
as much as, like you said, Under Armour has done, especially on the women's basketball side, there's just a prestige that Nike brings to the table, especially in college athletics, that, to be frank, nobody else has that. So I don't see it as wrong that they only did go to Nike and Under Armour for these contract negotiations.
Welcome onto the sideline, everybody. I'm Matt Dowell, joined alongside Jared Parker for another edition of our podcast. Thank you, as always, for listening and watching. As always, like, subscribe, follow, comment, all that good stuff, because, Jared, our subscriber count is growing, it is going up, and it's very exciting to see. Our numbers are getting really, really good, especially as the sports season really gets underway. So thank you to everyone who's been here from the beginning, but also if you're new and have really just found South Carolina Sideline, we've only been doing it for a few months. Just want to thank you guys for joining the show and for joining us on the sideline. So welcome, and hope you guys are enjoying our podcast. We're loving doing it. I'm having a great time. I don't know about you. I'm enjoying talking, just relaxing, hanging out. So it's been fun.
It's a blast. We're TV people. We get to yap.
We get to yap in a way that we don't get to do on TV, right. Which is fun. Show our personalities, give you guys our opinions a little bit more. So it's a lot of fun. Today's episode is going to be short, sweet, and to the point because the past couple of weeks, Jared and I, we've been talking. We've been doing some talking. So we're going to let you guys have an easier day, an easier listen or watch with us here on our podcast. And today we're talking about one topic and one topic only, because on Friday, Jared, South Carolina making some big news, and that is that Gamecock Athletics has entered a new 10-year partnership with Nike. That's going to begin on July 1st, 2026. So there will be one more season with Under Armour, and then after that, Gamecock Athletics is going under a big change as Nike will be the new apparel for the Gamecocks. Jared, I know you were really at the forefront for us at Watch Fox on this news on Friday regarding this new Nike contract. Just for kind of some perspective on how big this is, because Under Armour, this was a 10-year contract that ended with South Carolina and Under Armour, but it was really an almost 20-year partnership with Under Armour. It started actually back in 2007 and has gone all the way until now. So think about where you guys were in 2007. And think about where you are now. That's how long this partnership with Under Armour has been a part of the South Carolina athletics journey. And now it's undergoing a big change. But anyway, Jared, you were really at the forefront of our coverage of this on Friday. So just break this down for everybody numbers wise and what this means, what's in this contract, because I think when the news breaks, there's so many different aspects of a deal like this. So if you can, for everyone, just break down what the numbers are for this Nike South Carolina deal.
Yeah, so like you said, it's a 10-year deal. The straight hard cash is $5 million. It'll be a $500,000 average annual value. I know some people were looking at that like, a little sussed out, saying that's not a lot. But where the big money really comes in is the $70 million product allotment. That's a lot of money for a lot of product that's going to do so much for the school. But additionally, there's the 15% of total sales revenue that South Carolina will get. They're not getting 15% on the gross. It's the total sale, not the profit, rather. So that's going to be a big number. And I know we mentioned this when we were going through it on Sports Zone, but Asia Wilson is going to be at the forefront of this deal. In the term sheet, they mentioned that the A2s could be a potential shoe that the basketball team was receiving, but they're going to get garnet and black themed A1s at the least. That was alluded to. So with Asia being at the forefront, I really think this is a big partnership where that 15% could be a huge thing, because it kind of signals to me two things. It signals to me that the Asia deal is going well for her, for them to make her such a big part of this. But also, if it continues to go well with these garnet and black themed shoes that we'll see in the future, that could be a big money maker for South Carolina as well, because that's going to be a big portion of their bottom line. And then also, there's a $2.5 million product allotment as well. We don't really know what that's going to be. It's at USC's discretion. So whether we'll see that used or we'll even know what that's used for is to be determined. But there's also that little caveat.
Yeah, and I just want to say, if anyone who's not watching this on YouTube or is just listening, Jared just did all of that without looking at his notes. He just listed all of those numbers. He has notes, but he didn't look at them. He just knew all of that off the top of his head. So that was very, very impressive. But one thing I wanted to touch on was the A'ja Wilson impact, because Jared, when you look at the contract and the terms, the two sports that are really at the top of this are football, of course, which is going to be the main priority. And then women's basketball was really right after that. And you have to think A'ja was really the huge reason for that. And when we think about Under Armour, I actually think if there's one sport that was advertised pretty well Under Armour, it was women's basketball.
Absolutely.
I mean, they had their own exclusive commercials during March and all of that. After that, I'm not so sure Under Armour was really that prevalent with the South Carolina brand, in other sports, but I do think they represented and kind of invested in the women's basketball team pretty well. But with someone like A'ja Wilson, who's really having this moment with Nike, it was just a huge thing that they are capitalizing on. And A'ja was actually asked about it either before or after one of her games this weekend, and she said, "You guys know I love to be hands-on." So that to me says that this was all very intentional, and it is kind of strange. It was last year anyway. It was strange to watch other teams wearing A1s against South Carolina who could not wear the A1s,
right.
So that was kind of a weird thing. And so I'm excited to see the garnet and black shoes, once they kind of get that going. It'll, be a while from now when we actually see those. But I just think it's cool to see the power of A'ja Wilson and the impact that she's had on this deal, because we are really seeing her become one of those athletes that obviously is a great athlete, but also becoming a really great businesswoman. And I think that there are few athletes that have that impact, that can be a boss on the court and also a boss in the boardroom. And I think we're seeing A'ja become that person and really, have impact in all areas. So I thought that was a cool thing to see A'ja's impact, and for her to be very aware, like, oh yes, I knew exactly what was going on with this whole thing.
I wonder what her schedule's like, because she is busy.
She's busy, and especially because they're winning a lot right now.
She stays busy. I'm not envious of whatever her schedule is, because she is, like you said, hands-on with everything.
And, we had Roscoe on the podcast a few weeks ago, which that has been one of our most popular episodes as well and continues to do great. And he was saying he can't keep up with the colorways anymore. There are so many. He's like, I guess garnet and black's going to come soon. I don't even know anymore. So even Roscoe's having trouble keeping up with the success of the A1s. The other thing that I thought was interesting with this deal is obviously Jeremiah Donati, who is South Carolina's new athletics director and a very new AD, coming to South Carolina from TCU, which is where he was the AD last. TCU was a Nike school, and they just made a big deal with them in Donati's towards the end of his tenure as well. And Nike CEO Elliott Hill is also a TCU alum. So I thought that was an interesting connection in the TCU world, and how in Donati's first year, he's already making this happen. So kind of some background connections with this whole thing. I don't know how involved, Elliott Hill is in all of this, but I just think it's interesting, the TCU tree, that's kind of when you connect the dots on everything. But is there anything else numbers-wise that you wanted to cash in on? Because I know there's a lot with like jerseys and all that kind of stuff that people are interested in.
Right, so the jerseys, of course, football, they're getting 3 redesigns, and they'll also get an alternate jersey designed by Nike. So that's pretty interesting. I know I saw everyone reacting to the first mock-ups of the Nike Gamecock jerseys. Those are just Nike going with what's already there. They will get redesigned.
More of a PR thing. Like, let's give you guys something to take pictures with so people can have, a visual of it.
Exactly. Come July 1st, 2026, who knows? Those might be long gone. We don't know that yet. So we can relax a little bit and wait for the actual Nike redesigns. Women's basketball, they're getting 4 jersey redesigns. Ooh. So there's another aspect of, they're really making a serious effort with women's basketball as well. And the CLA is getting a court redesign. So that's something that's going to benefit both men's and women's basketball, as well as A'ja's shoes. Both the men's and women's team will get it. So,
and we should say too, Dawn Staley has also had a long partnership with Nike in her career. She's a major part, and has been, for a long time now. So Dawn Staley is also someone that Nike, I think, is really going to want to invest in more than they already have, and with how visible they are, the Gamecock women's basketball team, you can see the pieces coming together. Men's basketball also going to be part of that. I think that was their big question was, okay, you guys are investing in women's basketball a lot. What about us? So they are going to be part of this deal. And so, but those three sports were the big ones when you look at the term sheet. Obviously, every Gamecock team is going to be supported by Nike going forward. So Jeremiah Donati, he hasn't done a lot of press on this yet. He did talk to the media very briefly. I think they want to kind of get everything really set in stone before they kind of, do a major press tour and get into all of the details. And I should say this, Jeremiah Donati has agreed to come on our podcast. We don't have a date set in stone yet. He is obviously a very busy man, but I did reach out to his people actually before this deal was done to see if he'd want to come on and talk about his life and the moves that he's making with South Carolina. So Jeremiah Donati is going to come on South Carolina sideline sometime this fall. We just don't have a date and time set on when to do that interview, but I'm excited to have him in our studio. So that will happen in the coming months, and I will ask all of your burning questions regarding Gamecock athletics. But I wanted to say, Donati talked to some members of the media very briefly after the deal was made on Friday. I think it was like 5 minutes long, just to kind of get some basic quotes on what it all means. And so just some quick cliff notes on the things that he had to say. First of all, I want to say this. Donati was brought in to make moves for South Carolina. And I think you're seeing this already. We're 8 months in?
He's making moves.
He's making moves. He's 8 months in to his tenure as AD. And when you think about this deal with Nike, you think about the Blanchard field logo that's going to be on, and that investment into Williams-Brice Stadium and things going forward. I think
re-signing Don Staley.
Re-signing Don Staley. He hired a new volleyball coach. Donati's making moves behind the scenes, and there's some big moves. And I think that they are moves that are necessary to keep South Carolina competitive and relevant with the rest of the SEC as the SEC continues to get bigger and better and richer. I think Donati is doing what he has to do to make business moves. So I know everyone has opinions, on the field logos, on Nike, and all of that, which I think the majority of people are happy about Nike, because as someone who's been in Columbia for almost 10 years, all I've heard is, when is the Under Armour deal going to be done? When are they going to get Nike? When are they going to, make that happen? And now it is happening. And that's Jeremiah Donati, so it's only been 8 months, and the man is making some big-time decisions that I think are beneficial to South Carolina and gonna keep them competitive with the rest of their conference. Anyway, let's get back to what he had to say to the press on Friday. Some of the things that he pointed out was that when it came to Under Armour and Nike, obviously they had conversations with Under Armour that you have to have when you're making business deals to continue the partnership. And he said that Under Armour did not match Nike's deal. So basically, them and Nike had this conversation, they had numbers, and Under Armour did not match that. So I thought that was interesting. The other interesting tidbit is that they did not talk to any other brands other than Nike and Under Armour. So it was very clear that it was either keep going with Under Armour, or if they can't match the numbers, Nike is the school that they want. I think the Nike deal was very purposeful. The other thing that he said was, when it comes to the deal, there was a lot of chatter online about, this is, this SEC school has this contract with Nike, and this school has this contract with Nike, and these are their numbers. And he said that the contract that they have with Nike for the next 10 years is, quote, very competitive with the rest of the SEC. And he also made sure to comment that not every deal is the same, because every deal is different. The money in this part might be different than the money in this part for each school, if that makes any sense. But he did say it was very competitive with the rest of the SEC. I don't really think they would have made the deal if it wasn't. Just when you think of the college sports landscape. When it comes to NIL, that was another big question of how does that work? Is Nike going to make partnerships, with student athletes and all of that? He said NIL is at the top of their mind when it comes to this partnership, but the details on all of that is going to be worked out as they continue to talk about the partnership. So I don't think there's any specifics yet on NIL and this deal, but obviously that is going to be something that does happen. I think that's a lot of paperwork and legal, and all that kind of stuff that they have to work out. And then when it comes to the jerseys and what they're going to look like, there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of tradition when it comes to the uniforms for all teams. And he said it will be a collaboration between the schools and the team and Nike. So those were kind of the big bullet points that I wrote down from what Donati had to say on Friday. And I don't know if anything from what he said stands out to you, but I thought it was pretty cut and dry and pretty what you would expect. And I just kind of thought that the fact that it was either Nike or Under Armour was the most interesting thing he had to say.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. But I guess it also shows, like you said, you've been here for around 10 years and you've heard the chatter about when are we going to Nike. I think it just shows the prestige that Nike has, because
absolutely,
as much as, like you said, Under Armour has done, especially on the women's basketball side, there's just a prestige that Nike brings to the table, especially in college athletics, that, to be frank, nobody else has that. So I don't see it as wrong that they only did go to Nike and Under Armour for these contract negotiations.
Yeah, so it'll be fun when July 1st, 2026 comes around. Donati did make sure to say, it's all good between them and Under Armour. They're going to enjoy this last year under Armour's contract, and really appreciative of all they've done for South Carolina for the last really 20 years, since 2007, and it's been a long partnership. And so I thought it was cool that, he made sure to say, we are very appreciative of Under Armour and what they've done for the Gamecocks, gonna represent them well in this last year in a professional manner, and then it's on to the Nike era. Anything else you want to say about this, Jared, that we didn't touch on?
Yeah, just briefly, baseball and softball were the only other teams that had a specific mention in the contract. They have possibilities of bonuses in their program. It's not huge. $25,000 is the maximum they can earn if they win a national championship, and that applies to both baseball and softball.
Yeah, so it'll be fun to see. I'm excited for every sport to see, what they're rocking. Is beginning in 2026.
Because more teams can have redesigns. It doesn't mean only those sports. Who knows? Track might get a redesign. I know Nike and track.
Yeah, big
goes hand in hand.
Big.
So.
Hey, Jamesia Ford, you got an athlete like that.
True.
You got to put her in. Put her in some good stuff. But let us know in the comments, you guys, if you guys are happy about this Nike partnership, your thoughts on the deal, what you're hoping to see from this partnership going forward. I know a lot of women's basketball fans are excited for some garnet and black A2s. I know football fans are really excited to see Nike in the game, especially representing the Gamecocks in college football. So I think the majority is excitement and happiness and joy. But let us know your thoughts, your comments. We love to interact with you guys and get your thoughts on everything, because we get to talk about it all, but we want to know what you guys think as well. But Nike and South Carolina Athletics, a 10-year partnership that will start on July 1st, 2026. That's our episode for today. I told you it was going to be short, sweet, and to the point, and I made good on my promise.
Yes.
He's Jared Parker. I'm Matt Dowell. We'll see you on Thursday for another episode of our podcast, and we are going to start doing things a little bit differently, as it is game week and South Carolina football plays on Sunday. So Thursday's episodes now going forward are going to be a preview of our college game day with South Carolina. So we're going to preview South Carolina and Virginia Tech on Thursday's episode, and we will also be having episodes after games on Saturday, and in this case for the first game on Sunday. So we will have reaction episodes throughout the college football season regarding Shane Beamer and the South Carolina Gamecocks. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that we are going to change as the sports season changes as well. So new episodes after college football games and new episodes on Thursdays. And don't worry, y'all, we're still going to be doing our interviews with all of our great guests. So those are not going anywhere as well. Anyway, he's Jared Parker. I'm Matt Dowell. We'll see you on Thursday for another episode of South Carolina Sideline.